And some terrific action there from Alexandra Park, night one of the Rowe Cup Carnival. Hi everyone, welcome into your box seat, brought to you in association with Sweet Lou's standing at Woodland Stud. Craig Thompson, terrific night at Alexandra Park Friday night, even better one this week, and of course a huge Sunday coming out of Diamond Day in Invercargill. Evening to you.
Yeah, evening Greg, Michael, to the viewers as well. Looking forward to Sunday's coverage, fantastic fields there, but back to Alexandra Park on Friday night for four group races taken up by the four favourites. We've got four group ones again this week, Greg, and I think those four winners from last week will start favourite again. Habibti Ivy, outstanding win. It was her 14th start. She's now won 8 of them, and of course his stablemate won this race back in 2006, Inspire. Paul Nairn, he's a master trainer with these trotters, and I think she'll go close again this week. Yeah,
look, the Rowe Cup this week, Michael, as I say, evening to you, wide open affair. Normally, we come to this race, we've had one over Kenny, we've had the likes of Mombay last year, under the $2 quote. We won't have that this week, will we?
No, I reckon it could be $3, $3.50 the field. Greg, big hi to you boys. Hi to everybody at home. Hope Anzac Day was nice for you yesterday and you got a chance to spend some time thinking about all the people who did those wonderful things for us all those years ago. Funny thing about this meeting this week, I agree with you, the Rowe Cup's different. I almost would say you could record this week's show and watch it again next week and it'll be the same bunch of winners, because I get the feeling Lazarus, Inghind, those sort of horses, you're not going to see a lot of change. The Rowe Cup's different. Different horses, totally different distance to the Anzac Cup last week. Some new players coming in. I think a really good way to end the open class trotting season, because not only is the favouritism likely to be quite loose, but there's a few things on the line here, including potentially Trotting Mirror of the Year and a couple of other horses who this is their chance away from the Monbays. Bit of controversy too about the ballots. So there is some stuff to talk about, even though there might be a bit of a groundhog day from last Friday to this Friday.
All right, so what is ahead for you?
Just ahead on your box seat, Blair bags a cool half-dozen wins over the weekend, including the Anzac Cup. And in another top driving effort, Johnny bags his first pacing Group 1 victory. And from north to south, we gear up for a massive weekend ahead as Rowe Cup night and Diamonds Day promise a plethora of highlights on our harness horizon.
And the 6th running of the H.R. Fiskins & Sons Anzac Cup was, of course, the featured trotting race, the key lead-up race to the Rowe Cup this week. So let's go straight into it. She led up, Habibti Ivy. She had to be very brave because she had a smart 4-year-old in the trail in the form of Le Mans. Let's get Aaron White to bring them home.
Getting to the outside, and then here I come, Habibti Ivy, Le Mans. Here I come through on the inside. Bordeaux Temporale's getting out. Habibti Ivy kicking hard. Le Mans is driving the inside. Le Mans going to Habibti Ivy, the mare, she lifts, tenacious. Habibti Ivy wins, second over Le Mans, and third here I come.
Congratulations, Blair. I'm not totally convinced she was entirely comfortable here tonight, but that's a great performance.
Yeah, she just keeps stepping up, Greg. Everything Paul throws at her, she handles well, and you're right, though, she didn't sort of trot that good, probably the last lap, and just about 20 yards off the post, mate. I thought I lost her. She put a horrible step in, but you know, she's normally that well gated. She brought her back self well and just held on.
What about her form since resuming? It was an amazing effort first up, a national record at Ashburton, and she's just gone on with it, although wearing those colours, it's probably hardly surprising.
Yeah, well, she was very good at 3, Greg, and unfortunately she went amiss and spent most of her 4-year-old career in the paddock. And you know, she's always had the ability, and you know, how can you fault what Paul does with him? He's a superstar trainer, and you know, it's always a pleasure to drive for him.
You had a really speedy one on your back in Le Mans. Judging by what you said before, you probably weren't entirely confident that you were going to hold on.
No, I wasn't. You know, Morris was coming at me, and you know, she's the sort of horse that'll just do enough to keep her nose in front. But as I say, I nearly lost her about 20 yards off, mate, and you know, as I say, I think luckily she come back through it.
Look, you're continuing a stellar season for you. You got yourself a Group 1 Anzac Cup. You're second in a race that's only been going 6 years, so congratulations to you, mate.
Cheers, Greg.
And 2 Group 1s, of course, for him in the space of a fortnight. He won at Addington, the Trotting Championship, with Here I Come, who went another very good race for a horse with all the injuries that he is having. Terrific performance, Michael. This horse, of course, typical of a Paul Nairn trotter, came through the Westport series before, went on and won the Oaks and was third in the Derby, of course, behind Speeding Spur. She missed that season, but it's standing to her now.
It is. Often, a horse will get injured and people will say, oh, maybe long term it's a better thing for her. When you look at it, she's a very big mare, and maybe that time away, and she's a love you, so we are seeing time is good for the love yous, as we see there, they couldn't out of this race. Look, Paul's a great trainer, and what he probably does more so than some other trainers is gives them lots of long, steady work in the heavy carts, and they get that fitness, which means they can go to the races and run those times. But Paul was surprised. I spoke to him Friday afternoon, and he said, look, I don't think she's honed down fit enough for this. So hell of a performance. Craig, obviously she's always had the ability, and maybe we're also seeing that, yes, she's very good, but also with those 5 or 6 top trotters away, something had to step into that gap, and she's the right horse at the right time.
She stepped forward, isn't she? And there's a few that are stepping back as they've got older, but 3 New Zealand records in the last 5 starts, it just speaks wonders of what she is as a talent. And I mean, not many mares will go into a Rowe Cup, start 15 and start favourite, but she'll start favourite on Friday night. Greg, I like her. I think she's a mare that obviously can stay and sprint. She's got gate speed. She found the front there and obviously took a trail behind Le Monde. Then came out and went round again. We'll see that very shortly. But she's very tractable. And as Michael said, she had issues going into that race. Understand that she got caught in a fence a couple of weeks prior to that, and she'd missed a little bit of work. So he's a master trainer, and he's going to have 2 very realistic chances in Wilma's Mate and in this mare and winning the Rowe Cup.
In the past, just not that I was much use, but I would sometimes help Paul out work his horses. And people always say to me, what does Paul do that makes him so good? And the answer's time. Like, I've been at Alexandra Park and we've gone on to the track and Paul will do a lap and then he'll go, I'm not happy. And he'll take the horse off the track and he'll walk off the track and he'll muck around, and Paul does everything slow. He'll muck around and go get the hammer and think, no, that's not, no, I'm not happy about that either. And it will stand there for 25 minutes. You're with the horse in the sulky for 25 minutes and Paul will go...
How do you go with a stopwatch, mate?
Well, I was half asleep because 6 o'clock in the morning is not my idea of a good time. And then Paul will go back out on the track, and then the next day he'll say to you, OK, today hold on to this rope and drag this tyre around the track for 40 minutes. And you're like, are you out of your mind? And then the next day he'll say, no, I'm going to go ride it up One Tree Hill. And it's just looking at the horse and saying, today I think it needs this. And that's what he does. Now, Mark Purdon and Natalie couldn't do that, or Crandell Giddy, because it might take Paul, seriously, it might take him 3 hours to work 3 horses when he's away with them one-on-one. So that's why he's so good, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. But it particularly works for the trotters because he's so good, he does his own shoeing and all that sort of stuff. But it's one of those things which I don't think you could teach anybody else. It's either to the eye or it's not.
And he never has a big team either. Let's go to a key moment in the race. And Bordeaux was first up since the National Trot. That's him coming on the back there of Wilma's Mate, who's getting around to park now. This is an enormous run, Craig Thompson, from a horse that hadn't been seen on a racetrack in 4 months.
Yeah, 31st of December he was last seen, and he had to do it 3 wide. And I think they were using this race leading towards the Rowe Cup this week because we know his staying prowess. He's an outstanding stayer. You can see Dexter pressing on there 3 wide. Now, at this stage, Le Mond's in the trail run second. It was the first 3 into the straight. Lead, trail, 3 back on the fence. The horses wide on the track. They are working overtime here, Greg. And there was a couple of runs in behind that were good here, especially Daryl Boko in the yellow cap, running on Tim Butt's colours down the outside. G Up Nettie was quite good, and I even thought Prime Power's unlucky inside the last 200 metres. So there is a case to be made from the beaten brigade, but again, they'll have to step up over an extra 1,000 metres this week, and a few of them I've got a little bit of concerns about.
And Bordeaux would clearly be the biggest benefactor from that run.
Yeah, what really impressed me was he wasn't so good behind the mobiles in summer, and he was galloping in the score-up, which is a bit of a problem. He's been a pretty good standing start horse, and he handled the track really well 3 wide, which is a rarity. If they're not going to handle the track, getting 3 wide's the worst place for them. If he can roll to the lead this week, and we saw him set up a 4-minute 2 miles in the Dominion Handicap, he'll be awfully hard to beat. I think he's maybe the horse to beat, but there, as you said, there was enough about some of the others. Here's the start of the race, and obviously it's a mobile, so it's a totally different type of race. Le Monde is maturing. When I look at this version of Le Monde here, this is a very good sign for the Jewels, because he's now got enough gate speed to run with these horses early. Around Ashburton, that could be crucial. Doesn't really matter going into this week. What we are also looking at this week too is something which you could have got 500 to 1 about 3 months ago. Habibti Ivy if she wins this week, has to win Trotting Mare of the Year. Now, Quite a Moment had a big advantage in that after running second in the Dominion. Then Sunny Ruby had a really good summer in Australia, and you would have thought those two were down to it. Now Habibti Ivy, who's really well bred, could, and she's a big thing, so she'll leave nice big foals, you would think. All of a sudden, this is a double barrel for her this week. If she can win the Rowe Cup, she certainly wins Mare of the Year, and this comeback has been complete.
Well, yeah, just on that though, Quite a Moment did win the national trot, so yeah, it's still a...
Well, it would be 2 Group 1s back to back, and the Group 1s in autumn
and you know,
they count for a lot more.
Fresh in the mind.
Exactly, it's fresh in your mind. Most people who vote for the Horse of the Year would have no idea if you ask them right now, until you said that, who won the national trot.
All right, let's hear from the Beaten Brigade.
Yeah, he was super tonight. He was better than he was the other night, and yeah, he's a horse that's just going on improving all the time. So yeah, bright future.
Really good, Greg. You know, like he trotted up early and yeah, couldn't quite cross Morris, so ended up getting back on the fence and getting a nice enough run, but still a good finish the race off well, I thought.
Yeah, no reason to think he won't be more than competitive next week as well.
Oh, for sure, and as you say, the 2 miles won't worry him. So yeah, I think yeah, could only improve, and I thought it went good.
Once the barrier draw came out, I'm sure you were pretty happy, but nothing really went your way, did it?
No, the undercheck came off and flopping around, then we got a bit tight into the first corner, so we'll leave the undercheck off next week, and I've taken him off the unruly from the stands for the Rowe Cup next week, so we've got to gain every advantage we can, but he hit the line running tonight, so I'll just put it down to either a poor drive error or just a gear malfunction, so hopefully we're better and bigger things next week.
So that was Todd Mitchell. Just on Sunny Ruby too, she clearly wasn't at her peak there, and I understand she's been put aside for the season now, because 3 wide with cover for her is normally potent.
Yeah, it was, and she was just, she looked tired, and she's had enough, and therefore she's done a great job this season. Here's the market. Now, Monet's an emergency, so Prime Power will come into one. It
comes off the unruly and draws one.
Yeah, Wilbur's Mate, I thought, was disappointing last week, boys. Maybe that type of run doesn't suit her. Daryl Boko, good. Habibti Ivy was spoken about. Highgate, I couldn't have. Temporale's in the mix, but is he a winning chance? Probably not. And Bordeaux, I know all of us like. Quite a Moment off the second line. We know she's a 3-2 horse. She ran second in the Dominion, and she's coming in after missing last week. I think she's the horse who quite a few people will be willing to spec on each way. A big loser out of the barrier draws. It wasn't his fault, but Lamond being off the unruly, Craig, means he will be giving some of these, with the field and the way it could stack up, he might be giving them 12 lengths.
Well, it's basically a standing start 10-metre handicap, isn't it, because he's off the unruly. And I like Bordeaux, along with you boys, because I think he's an improver and he's coming at the right time with that run under his belt. I thought Wilma's Mate, I give her a realistic chance here. Thing about her is her runs this time in, if she's had to be used mid-stages in a race, and I'm much more confident when you don't work with her early, and you just let her find her feet, one run at them, sustain 200 metres. Well, she's been having to burn 1,000 metres out. So I thought this week, with the way the barrier draw is set up with her, I think she may be the sneaky in the race. And the other one I do like is Quite a Moment as well. In saying that, she's only won 1 at Alexandra Park in 7 starts, so a record at Alexandra Park right-handed, probably not as good.
I know you followed up. There's been plenty of social media talk about Valmain missing a start in this race. I actually didn't have too much problem with that horse not getting a start. Did finish second in the race last year, and the winner's not there, so it's arguably the best horse out of the race last year. In saying that, a win down the line is not really comparable to starting in the lead-up race, but should have been first on the ballot.
I totally agree with you. I actually talked to the club this morning about Valmain and how it didn't make the field. It hadn't won a race in 13 months and got that one at Hara in a very lowly class trot. It's low in the ratings under the new handicapping system. I think under the old system it would have been in the field, but it's ranked very lowly as Valmain, 86, yeah. Which is extremely low. Monet, the thing I don't like about it is Monet is rated 102, and also the other one that's a ballot in the field, which is Quivert. They shouldn't have been
ahead of Valmain.
Absolutely not. I mean, Valmain's been a journeyman. It's been everywhere. And if you're going to reward horses for starting, it should have been first ballot in this field.
Yep, no argument there.
It should be in the field. It should be in the field. Ran second in the race last year. It's beaten Stent. It's won serious races. Now, G Up Netty was really good last week. I liked its performance. Don't get me wrong. I thought it went super. But it hasn't won a serious race. And by a serious race, I mean a group
Not
race.
as great things happen.
No, exactly. But great things happen as at least you can see that there's some potential there. Valmain should be ahead of both of them.
You can't pick fields on potential.
No, exactly. But I'm saying there's potential there for both those horses. I'm a great believer that Group 1 forms the most important form. Valmain has been placed in this race. I know he's been round 1,000 times, but that's almost like saying, well, you know, don't race them then. Like if he only raced in these Group 1 races, he would run 5.
The new handicapping system is designed around horses starting more often, so he's a victim of that in many ways.
Yeah, look, he is. Valmain should be in the race. I agree. There's still a lot of things about the rating system where there's little quirks that are appearing in different quarters, but I think the field selection committee here got it wrong. That's only my opinion. They have more facts and they would have studied it more than me. But the bottom line is, Valmain in this race, I would have entertained as a first forward chance because I know he can be there and do that. He's like a rugged old footy player who's been there and done that. At the moment we're picking horses who may well be better than him. But for me, I'm not going to entertain them as winning chances because I haven't seen them do that yet.
All right, let's head to the Group 1 won by Lazarus. Yes, the 11th time he saluted at the ultimate level, and whilst he got away with a pretty cruisy opening 800 metres for this, he really powered up over the last half.
Waikiki Beach will stride home strongly the inside and Golden Goddess, but Lazarus kept up to the markers, returned to Alexandra Park's a Group 1 winning return, and he adds the Taylor Mile to his star-spangled career. Lazarus from Waikiki Beach and Golden Goddess.
Mark, great to have this wonderful horse back at Alexandra Park. First time in over a year. He's got the lead and, gee, his closing sectionals have been outstanding again.
Yeah, he's a great horse and it's nice to be back here. Greg, he'll just have the run next week and that'll wind him up for the season, so it'll be a nice way to go out.
By my reckoning, first ever driving success in a Taylor Mile. There's not too many Australasian-wide Group 1s that you haven't won, so you can put that one in the book as well.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I didn't realise that myself, so it's good.
Of course, you trained Auckland Reactor to win, and Blair Orange took the reins back 6 or 7 years ago, but in his preparation now, we know that there's one more to get, and more than likely won't see him again till the spring.
No, that's right, Greg. He'll have a nice break and then resume his build-up to the New Zealand Cup in November.
Congratulations, Mark. Got yourself a Taylor Mile. This great horse is back at the head of the field again, and I'm sure he'll be greeted by the crowd once again as well.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
Yeah, it was even a surprise to Mark Purton. He hadn't driven a winner of the Taylor Mile. Of course, Auckland Reactor was handled by Blair Orange when Mark was suspended following the Inter-Dominion series over there. So, yeah, nice to see him saluting a race that he hadn't done so before.
What do you want me to say, Greg?
Well, I'll run out of questions, to be fair.
Like on Friday morning, you're writing for the Herald and you're trying to say to people, the messenger's on tonight and it's going to be great. But it's not good. It's wonderful. And it's Winx-like. And it's perfectly predictable. And it's in no way a reflection of the fact that he's not a great horse. But there's just nothing to say. I mean, he's going to lead on Friday night. Waikiki Beach will slide to his back. Unless he's an act of God, they'll run first and second. And Waikiki Beach wins its way into the jewels, Craig. I don't see any other formula for it. I don't mean to sound bored by it, because I'm not bored by it. This is a wonderful horse. And the fact that they've come this deep into the season is a great thing. And people at Alexandra Park really enjoyed him the other day. But from a punting and analysis perspective, the people out there have now seen the horse 31 times. To say it's seen exactly the same stuff we see, we all know what's going to happen on Friday night.
Well, it's the Jekyll and Hyde scenario, isn't it? The club don't like having a horse like that in the race, but they attract people to the track, and sure, they may not be betting, but they see a horse that they really see at Alexandra Park, Lazarus. I mean, he hasn't been there, as Michael said, for an awful long time. I give a credit to a few people in this race, especially Mike Berger with a horse like Max Factor, because they probably didn't really want to start in this race, but they earned $5,000 for running fourth, Michael, which is like winning a $10,000 race at Cambridge. So they got a perfect trip, they got a nice run, but I mean, without runners like Max Factor and Pavarotti, this race wouldn't have got off the ground, so got to give him some credit.
Phil Butcher drove him well. He drove him to get off the gate and be on the marker pegs. Now, you can make a very strong case, and I've spoken to a lot of horse trainers about this and also athletes, that when you are competing against superior athletes, you will improve and therefore you'll get better, and when you go back you'll be a better horse. We see all the time 3-year-olds go into the Derby, come out of it better horses. Max Factor might come out of this a better horse. So here's Lazarus, he's in front. As I said, Groundhog Day. Watch this next week, you'll probably see the same thing. Waikiki Beach sits in the trail and gets close enough, but clearly Waikiki Beach is not as good as Lazarus. And Golden Goddess I thought was outstanding. She's come and sat parked. A lot of talk about whether she'll go to the Jewels. Now, she'll qualify for the Jewels if she runs top 3 this week, which on this run is very hard to see her not doing. But they want to go to Melbourne. They're determined to go to Melbourne to race predominantly in the Queen of the Pacific on May 20th. The reason she's not pulled out of the Jewels market is she can race there and still come home. Now, it's an awfully hard way to do it, but she could still potentially go to the Jewels, but she will be heading to Melbourne. Guys, the 1, 2, 3 there, realistically, should be the 1, 2, 3 in the Messenger on Friday night.
Yeah, with Waikiki Beach, I mean, we're talking about Lazarus in a different level. I mean, he won 23 of his first 24 starts, didn't he, Waikiki Beach? And we think probably 6 months ago, prior to Christmas, we're having this discussion, which is the better horse? Well, he hasn't won a race in his next 8 starts, Waikiki Beach, and Lazarus has kept on his winning way. So the gap is certainly extended. But this week, he'll sit in the trail and he'll run second again, and as Michael will say, earn more dollars. But for me, Lazarus, you look at that race there, 1:53 his last mile, looked like he ran his last mile in 2 minutes. He absolutely jogged it. He's a superstar.
Let's hear from the couple that finished directly behind him.
Timmy showed a lot of speed early, got to the right spot, but the other was just a bit fast.
You know, that's right. To my fella's credit, he run him right to the line and round the bend a little bit. But like you say, when you're chasing home something like Lazarus, it's he's a class above himself.
Yeah. Look, all important money though, heading towards the Jewels.
You know, that's right, and another good race too. He's going good races, which is the main thing, and like you say, getting good stake money for the Jewels Day. So come Jewels Day, hopefully he's lining up.
Johnny, for a race she probably wasn't supposed to be in, she's gone great.
Well, she has, Greg, having to sit park like that, and probably if they'd gone harder early and not as quick home might have suited her a wee bit better, but she's done as well as she can, sitting off the markers and running home that quick.
And of course the barrier draw out. Spoke to Mark Purdon this morning about Lazarus. He said, yeah, it was probably the one race I wouldn't have minded anywhere I drew. Now I've got barrier 1, you know what's going to happen.
Well, and the two will slide straight to his back. To further extend on Craig's point, because as good as bet out of how it went the other day, none of these are going to beat the first 2, one would think. In fact, Max Factor might go 3 fence and be a chance of running 3rd or 4th again. If it wasn't for Lazarus, if Lazarus didn't exist or hadn't raced this season, to extend your point from Waikiki Beach, Waikiki Beach would have won the Chariots of Fire, which is a big race, would almost certainly win the Messenger this week, would have won the Taylor Mile, and would have won the Free for All at Addington 2 weeks ago.
And finished.
And finished 3rd in the Miracle Mile. So we'd be sitting here saying, what a great horse Waikiki Beach is. So it just goes to show you how timing can be. You know, just being a year too early or a year too late. Yes. The horse who concerned me the other day out of the Taylor Mile was Arden's Choice. Look, she's not racing with any punch, and I'm willing to forgive. She lost ground on them, but heading toward the Jewels, which is a Jewel she's a real factor in, I'm going to want to see her coming forward. I believe she will. Yep. And it's a big drop down in grade, but she's going to need to start picking up the bit pretty soon, in my opinion.
Yep, she's got 5 weeks on Saturday to get that sorted out in a wide draw this week. We'll take a break here. When we come back with Sweet Lou, of course, standing at Woodlands, we'll review further Group 1 and the Caduceus and also have a look at the trotters.
Coming up, Almac struts her stuff with a model performance in the Classic, and the Hope May combination are at it again in the Trotting Champs.
32nd running of the Woodland Stud Caduceus Club Classic for the 2-year-old fillies. Let's go back to an outstanding performance from a filly that's been so busy. Forbury Park, Addington, Alexandra Park, all basically within a fortnight. Here's what she did to them.
In the clear, Shenandoah A-lister down the outside, but it's Almac 100 out. Almac from Caitlin Clark, Shenandoah, Lady Chateau, Late Gold Orchid on the inside. Almac remains unbeaten and she's a Group 1 winner now. Almac in from Caitlin Clark, Shenandoah.
Johnny, we knew she was quality before she got to her first Group 1 tonight, but she had to be.
Yeah, she had to be good, Greg. You know, we did a bit of work getting around this last quarter, the 800 metre corner, and, I was pretty worried about it actually, but sort of felt like once I crossed Dix and Blair they can't have been going that great, so it sort of gave me a bit of confidence, but it's definitely a long way down that straight.
Right, you've won yourself a Group 1 trotting race, the Dominion of course with Jack Ajussi. Now your first Group 1 pacing event in those colours. That's got to make you feel pretty proud about life.
Yeah, it does really, Greg. They've been pretty good to me since I've been there, and for a part-time worker I've had a pretty good go at it, so I can't thank them enough for what they've done, and they didn't have to put me on. There's a couple of nice drivers sitting in the stand, but can't thank them enough, really.
She's the best at the moment, benchmark-wise, and going forward to races like the Jewels, and there's still further opportunities for her up here as well. She's the one they all have to beat.
I think so, Greg. Like, you know, pretty big ask. She was at Addington, you know, Saturday night last week, and 2 or 3 day road trip up, and had to take them on, Northern fillies on up here. So to her credit, she, you know, she stuck to her guns, and you know, at the moment they've got to catch her.
A searching run she was sent on, Michael. They don't go a lot better than that first up at Alexandra Park.
Searching, Gregory. It's one of those old words people use. I loved it. That's how
getting a bit older, probably.
That's how you drive them, Johnny. Just launch her. Obviously, she was good enough to get away. She was getting tired of the line, but she might have been getting a bit bored too. She's a very good filly. I think she's clearly the best of this crop, but these things can change as they start to grow and develop. But there's not a lot of time, as you said, 5.5 weeks to go to the Jewels. She's the favourite for everything heading forward. Still, she's got a bad barrier draw this week, so I loved it from Johnny. He just drove her like she was the best horse in the race, and as we know at Alexandra Park, all the winners come from on the speed in these good races, so he decided, well, I'm back here, I'll just go up there.
Yeah, I spoke to Mark Purdon about that too, Craig, because A-Lister was on her back, just left her standing. Yeah. Mark couldn't believe the acceleration, but he said it's going to take an awfully good performance from either her or Shenandoah this week, even though they've got a better barrier draw to beat her.
They have, but on that performance there, she was dominant, clearly better than the rest. And for the second row, she follows out A-Lister, so should follow the stablemate through. 1,700 metres versus 2,200 metres. She's going to have to work most of the race to get round them, but she'll be favourite here, Greg. There was merit in a couple of others in behind. I thought Shenandoah was quite good hitting the line. They did go very, very quick time, but on Johnny Cox, I mean, he's driven 6 winners for the All-Stars this season, 28 overall. I think his best season was 2014-15. He drove 62 winners. But you've got to remember in that season, he was driving Jack Adjusty, he was driving New York J. He had some very good drives. So he's working his way through the ranks. I mean, he's not going to be, obviously, their first choice. You've got Mark and Nat, and then you've got Tim and Matt, and he'll pick up what's left over, but he's making his opportunities count.
Yeah, he is. Natalie Rasmussen will be back on board this week with no clash with Addington. Let's go back to the start of this race and see what unfolded. Here they were, 2,200 metres. The Purdon pair out wide, weren't involved early, and of course the disappointment for me, Michael, is the yellow colours. Their better joy since winning the Young Guns final. It's almost like she's lost a leg.
Yeah, spoke to Cran. He wasn't over the moon about it, but as we said after the Young Guns final, there's a lot of chapters to be written in this 2-year-old story, and these horses emerge so quickly. They turn up. We might see a different one this Friday night win, but they mature at such different rates. And the All-Stars, as we've mentioned a lot, had a slower start to the season juvenile-wise, and you always had the feeling once they got involved seriously, things might change. Lady Chatto also was in front, and you probably thought, OK, maybe she'll do a better job from there, but she's travelled, and it's hard for these horses to travel. So, look, it's advantage Elmac, and it is Elmac. If she's named after Elle Macpherson, it is Elmac. You can debate whatever you want about what other people want to call it. Elle Macpherson's name is Elle Macpherson. Yep. So if it's named after her, it's Elmac.
Yep.
And there is often times which people will come to commentators or broadcasters and say, I want my horse called this. Well, guess what? You don't get to choose. You want it spelled Ellie-Mac, spell it E-L-L-Y. That's Ellie. E-L-L-E is L. I had this conversation years ago with the boys who own Sushi. They wanted it called Sushi. Sushi is not a word. Now, we, as trackside presenters, bastardise the English language enough. It's a hard job because there's hundreds of horses. You want to spell Sushi, S-U-S-H-Y. Just spell them the way, but you can't just spell them wrong on the form and then say, that's what I want it called, and you'll do what I'm told. That's not the way it works.
I had the same situation with a horse called Azalea. They wanted it called Azalee. I said, I'm just not going to do it. No. Again, if you want it that way, spell it correctly. Yeah.
Anyway. Look, Monbay was a different example. They named it after their kids, and Monbay's not a word. So if they wanted it called Monbet at the start or Monbay, they get to choose that because it's actually not a real word. But the bottom line is we just can't keep changing words to make everybody happy. We've all filled out the form to spell horses' names. Sometimes you fill it out wrong and people go, oh, it wasn't my fault. We'll fill it out properly next time.
Make sure you do. Let's get to those just in behind this very smart lady.
Scott, she's an improving filly. I know she had the draw to work with, but it was a pretty good effort.
Yeah, no, it was good. Like she tries hard, and she ran to the line quite strongly, so it was good.
All right. clearly the winner's a really smart horse, so going forward with an economical trip in the upcoming races, she can get some more money.
Yeah, exactly, you know, and she gets good draw, she's got good gate speed, so, you know, we wouldn't be frightened to stay in front one day too.
I think everything's a bonus at 2 with her, isn't it? Because she's got a lovely way of going.
Yeah, very much so, Greg. She's won. She's been a little bit of a surprise package. Each time she stepped off the place, she just gets a length or two better, which is it's all you can ask for in a filly. Like you say, she's got plenty of size and scope about her. So, you know, I don't think she knows how to run a bad race, and just thrilled the way she got to the line tonight.
Yeah, she's come up with a plum barrier draw too. She's a lovely scopy filly, Shenandoah. I can't wait till she gets to the Oaks distance.
Yeah, nice type, good draw, bit of gate speed. I like one in here, New York Rain from the inside. She worked on Saturday, trialled up very, very nicely. Ran third at her workout. Of course, missed last week's race, comes in fresh inside draw. Thought they may go forward with her. I'm not saying she'll beat Al Mag, but I think she's clearly the next best chance.
Craig, you were very keen on A-Lister last week.
Very disappointing, Greg. I'm not sure whether the road trip up north, it obviously didn't affect Al Mag, but maybe affected A-Lister. She's better drawn this week. I'm not going to drop her on that one run because I didn't think there was much between them. Clearly there was last week. Should see how she backs up this week.
Just a question for you. I really like New York Lane. I think she's a really good filly, but she's a big, dumb-looking thing, very long striding. Have you seen her come off the gate at the workouts? Because I haven't seen it on race day, so barrier one concerns me a touch.
Race day's draw, she's always drawn second rower out wide, and a couple of times she's been victim of circumstances. I just think they'll have to push the button from the inside here.
But do you think she'll cop that?
Well, I think she will. Yeah, I think she's a big, rangy filler, and I think if you actually let her run along, they haven't had a chance to do that from the draw she's had. I think she'll get out quite nicely. I'm not saying she'll lead, but I think she'll be close enough to the market pegs, as we've seen. Trail 3 back on the fence, not a bad place to be in these races.
All right, terrific night, Alexandra Park. It will be on Friday night. Of course, we're up for the Northern Trotting Derby as well. The key lead up for that was taken out by Enhine, who was nothing short of outstanding again. First up, Alexandra Park, for a horse that at times can mix his gait. He certainly didn't on this track, and he bolts in. Here's Aaron White bringing them home.
Heavyweight hero down the outside. CK Spur, but here's Enhine at the 100, joining in. First look at Alexandra Park. President Royden will dash at him late, but Enhine in the Jules colours, and his domination continues. Wins by 3/4, President Royden.
Ricky, we knew he was a good horse before he came here tonight. Now he's 9 from 13, but there's always a risk first up at Alexandra Park.
Yeah, definitely, but Greg guaranteed me he would go this way around better, and he felt pretty strong, to be fair.
You got a beautiful run into it, 3 wide with cover, and when you did ask him to come and come very quickly, he did that, didn't he?
Yeah, he definitely did. The leader was getting away a wee bit on me, and he was trotting the bends pretty good, so, you know, it was time to go, and he won pretty easy, really.
You've driven some nice trotters in recent times. He's still got a long way to go to get to some of those, but where does he sort of sit in your mind? Because clearly he's not the finished product yet.
No, he's right up there, there's no doubt about that, but Mombay had such a beautiful gait, you know, he's probably definitely number one, but this guy's going probably just as good as him as a 3-year-old.
Such a great star. Next week's derby's clearly going to be even more up his alley, so confidence-wise, that'll only enhance his chances, I guess, from your point of view.
Oh, definitely. He's just such a great stayer, this horse, you know. You can drive him pretty here and he still keep on going.
Ricky, the yellow colours are going to remain on your back for next week. Congratulations, you've grabbed your second of the Sire Stakes finals.
Thanks very much, Greg.
Yeah, he's very good, no doubt about that at all. A couple of good runs in behind, President Royden. We're going to have a look at the key part of this race, Michael, because it was down the back straight and Enhine managed to drop back in and get himself into an even better spot, whereas President Royden, there's the gallop there, there's Enhine 3 wide following Habibi into the race. Chevron Express drops down to the trail. Mark thinks about going there, but what he does is lose his tactical advantage there.
I think Mark should have gone forward in the middle stages and try and got the lead, but that's because I thought Josh Dickey would hand up, but maybe the indication was there that Josh wouldn't. Long story short, Enhine was the best horse in the race. I thought President Royden was every bit as good, and in my mind, he should be second favourite for the Jules because he's the emerging horse out of this bunch. Very good drive by Ricky. Sure, things worked out his way, but beautiful job by Greg and Nina to train this horse to handle right-handed. There's absolutely no pot on the horse, Craig, apart from the fact that he occasionally early in the campaign rolled into a gallop. Very smart animal. I think it's a nice crop. I don't think it's a superstar crop outside of him, but I do think President Royden is the horse who's going forward. The horse who we don't see this week is Heavyweight Hero, and I'm not sure what to make of where he is at the moment.
Well, I actually did ask the club this morning, rang the club to see their stance on why this race has dropped in numbers, because I thought a little bit disappointing. We've got 8 in the field, we've had a scratching already down to 7. Why we haven't got the 3-year-old numbers? The reason for it is next week we've got the Trotting Oaks, and horses like Chevron Express, who probably would have been in here this week, will be saved for next week, as will a couple of other fillies, Greg, so we've lost them. Heavyweight Heroes actually come off the unruly, but apparently Regan Cotter, the secretary of the club, said to me this morning that Todd McFarlane didn't come through the run that well from last Friday, and he'll be saved for later missions. So that's hence why we've only got 7 this week. But I agree with Michael, President Royden's been the up-and-comer. He is really starting to go to the next level. Very good in that race. And of course, he has won over 2,700 metres, which this week's longer trip will suit him. Also, boys, with the draw, no second row here. Enghein's drawn 2, CK Spawn drawn barrier 1. You see him leading. There'll be no pressure in this race. Enghein should just mosey forward at some stage and grab the front. He's going to be very hard to catch.
Yep, let's hear from the horses that finished in 3rd and 4th.
Dixie had a little bit of luck down the back, but she's gone great.
Yeah, she's just kept the form line up, Greg, and keeps running great races. You know, great effort against the good boys, so I'm wrapped with her.
She's got the Oaks up here, and that's clearly her main target while she's in the north.
Yeah, she'll probably have a crack at the Derby next week, and then she's obviously got the Oaks after that and come over the Jewels. So, you know, busy schedule for her, but she seems to be handling it great, and yeah, like I said, she keeps running great races.
Josh, I thought he was pretty brave because he had to put in a fair burn early on.
Yeah, he did, and you know, it's quite a tough run race, but you know, that's what these classic 3-year-old races are about. But pretty proud of the effort. He kept sticking and fought the line pretty hard.
All right. Off the back of that, going to the Derby, he's going to need the right sort of run, but he's a bona fide first 4 hope, isn't he?
Well, he is, mate. Yeah, probably won't have to be able to drive him as hard as I did tonight, but you know, he's a good place chance next week.
Yeah, so let's have a look at that market. He'll get off the gate nicely from 1, and yeah, whilst it looks predictable, it only takes a Habibi Inter, BD Kosan, one of those President's Drawn to come out, just on Habibi Inter and the foot tapper. Signs of colds just after that from Paul Nairn, so they've treated that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the drivers in this race have got to sum this race up. If they're going to beat Engheim, they've got to get in front of them. They can't let them just work to the front. And we've seen lately that Ricky's been quite happy to just take hold of him early in a race when he's drawn the front, let him work mid-stages. If you're a driver in this race, find the tactical speed to go forward early and get in front of him. That gives you an opportunity to get in the right spot. So whether that's Mark Purd on President Royden this week, we haven't seen the gate speed in the past, maybe they'll have to use it this week.
It's going to be really hard to make a case against the winner because he should be better for the run. He's obviously a very good stayer. President Royden's emerging. The rest of these, I don't think are good enough to win this. So it's one of those races where if you want to go heavy on one, maybe you cover on the other, but I'll be surprised if President Royden can beat Engheim unless Engheim does something wrong. I think we're going to see a lot of the same horses win as we did last week. Lazarus would seem a certainty. The Rowe Cup's maybe the one that is in the mix, fellas. But, you know, the key factor, we said this last week at the show on Friday night, being close to the speed, premieres at Alexandra Park is everything. All those videos we're showing you, the winner was in the first 4 with a lap to go. That's just how it works on premieres because they just don't come back to you. And the speeds they're going, home in 56, home in 54, you just can't come wide on the track.
All right, that's the 4 Group 1s. Another of the features is the 42nd running of the Breeders. Let's have a look at a couple of videos leading into this. Breakdance came to Alexandra Park, and whilst the 8th on paper might not look that good, it was actually a serious run, Craig.
I really like her. Have a look where she is at this point of the race, 400 metre mark. Now, Johnny goes through the middle instead of opting to come to the outside. In hindsight, he probably thought he'd cut the corner and get a gap. It never appeared, boys. And have a look at her travelling to the line. I'm not saying she would have won this race, but she definitely would have run in the top 3. Pulls the hood here, runs straight into the back of Whitecliff Chapel, never got a gap other than that, and she finished under a hole just in behind them. So I thought a very good form race going into this week. Of course, Juice Brogdon, who ran 5th in this race, also lines up from a stand for the first time. A lot of these horses never been from a stand.
Half a dozen of them.
2,700 metres, so it will certainly enable the horses who've got a little bit of experience, like the likes of one we're going to have a look at the moment, Lusty Mac, who's got experience from a standing start. This is her last start behind Maxim, of course, who was good enough to run a placing in the Easter Cup. Running second here, boys, and a really good run. Prior to that, of course, she won the Mayor's Championship race at Alexandra Park, $40,000. I just don't know whether she could give a few of the others 30 metres. It's an awful long way back, Michael, if they run 3:24, 3:22 off a stand.
It's a strange race. Usually this is a race you expect Golden Goddess to turn up in, and she's not there. It's some maidens in this race. It's a really unusual composition. It's not my type of race, standing start race. Just one question going back to breakdance, and I want you to answer this honestly because you're of that age. Did you ever attempt breakdancing when you were 15 or 14? Did you ever have the cap on backwards? Did you ever try?
I remember you wearing winkle pickers, so I can go back a fair while.
What was the name of that nightclub that...
Grapes. But did you ever try breakdancing as a teenager?
Very badly.
You did?
Yeah. I can remember I was about 20 stone those days, so it was quite a bit to get around.
Did you do the spinny thing?
Yeah, but very difficult.
The backspin.
Did you ever crack at it?
Oh, yeah, but not that well. No. My daughter could dance, but I certainly couldn't.
Okay. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah. All right.
I didn't.
Okay, moving right on. You wouldn't be your sort of race. Standing start that only one horse out of the field's ever won from a stand.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sure a lovely horse is going to win it. It's going to be a highlight, and maybe by Friday I'll warm to one, but these races where there's horses who haven't had standing starts before, they can affect the chances of horses who have it.
I think the reason why we haven't got the real good ones in that race, they've made that rating up to a rating 100, I believe. I talked to the club this morning about that because I said, why wasn't some of these good mares in this? And they said, limited to the rating.
Yeah, okay. Let's go back to a very good race. It was the Door Contracting Limited Rangiora Classic, and here was the finish of the race. We'll talk more about 300 or 400 metres earlier shortly.
Franco Nelson in front. He's got the better of Piccadilly Princess, but Chase the Dream joined in. Classy Brigade comes after Chase the Dream. Chase the Dream half a length. Now a neck. Chase the Dream. Classy Brigade drives. Wow, that's close. Chase the Dream or Classy Brigade. Franco Nelson third.
Well, you haven't had a steer on him for a wee while, but I bet he felt great out there.
Yeah, no, he's just the same, you know. He's never very far away, so no, I was pretty rapt to get the drive back, actually, for one day.
What about the way the race panned out? Because he looked to be in the perfect spot at the half mile then. Gee, the fireworks set up, didn't they?
Yeah, well, it probably helped me, actually, as in the long run, because he's more a stayer, but I had to do a bit of overtime early, so I guess, you know, I had to save him a wee bit, but he actually felt good coming off the back, but... you know, I didn't know how the race would pan out in the end.
Yeah, very hard to get past a Purdon-trained runner, as you know. Purdon Rasmus and Chase the Dream gave you a great fight.
Yeah, they definitely did, and if Blair's watching, he'd be lucky to get his drive back, wouldn't he?
Oh, he's a bit of humour, that RT May, and really appreciated your comments about the way he's changed his driving style as well, Michael.
We had a good talk about that on Friday night. Hey, he's a mature guy, Rick. He rolls with the punches. He's had plenty in his life, and he's won plenty of New Zealand Cups too. So that was the sort of run you want to see from Classy Brigade. Gee, he's been strong. He's been one of my heroes of the summer. He's turned up at all these dog fights and he's tried so hard, and he's the type of horse I want to stay in the country. Because we'll see later on, we've lost Huey Green and we've lost Tiger Tara. And when you lose those second tier horses, the New Zealand Cup becomes less interesting. You want him to stay. Chase the Dream probably won't, but you would love him to stay. You want these horses to stay here. Really interesting race. Mid-race moves were great. Field Marshal made the race early by blasting off the gate, and the boys got involved early, and that was really good, and set up a very, very quick time. So we see him here, Field Marshal, he punches off the gate, and then two of the better horses, Piccadilly Princess and Franco Nelson, go back. So they're rolling along here, and then the pressure never really stops, Craig. Very happy with the run of Piccadilly Princess, considering she's a mare sitting park. But when they launched Franco Nelson, things got serious. And that was the end of those two as winning chances, made the race, and it was going to come down to the stayers who were able to sit off them. So here's that mid-race move, and Franco Nelson put into the race because, as we know, from back in the field, he doesn't try quite as hard.
No, and when John Dunn really let him go, he moved. Probably the fastest 200 metres I've seen by a horse in a very long time. And him and Piccadilly Princess went straight past Field Marshal at that point. You knew that they've gone an awful long way from home. So there was a chance that something that set off the speed, the likes of Classy Brigade or Chase the Dream, could get over the top of them. But at the top of the straight here, these two had pinched a couple of lengths. Piccadilly Princess the inside, Franco Nelson the outside. The eventual winner's in fifth at this spot, Classy Brigade. And Ricky just got him off the fence on the back of Chase the Dream and saved probably every bit of ground it possibly could. Won him the race, Greg, and they did go time. 3:06.1 or 3:06.4, 0.1 of inside Chris and me's record. So he's a good horse, Classy Brigade. He's won an Invercargill Cup, he's won an Ashburton Cup, a Central Otago Cup. He's won 5 from 11 this season.
Yep, and that's him getting up right on the line. Great to see Chase the Dream back in something like its best form, but we need to get to the beaten brigade because there's a few interesting comments here.
Well, that was a cracking run, wasn't it, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely, Rat. You know, just a huge thrill to get a drive for, you know, Mark and Nat in a big race like that, and to come this close to pulling it off. Yeah, no, he's tried his heart out, and, you know, if you'd say who you're going to get beat by a nose, well, there's only one man, isn't it? And that's that little RT May, so, yeah.
He travelled into it beautifully, looked all over the winner, and as we see with the All-Stars often, they never give up.
No, that's right. Like I say, you know, when the pace went on, he got left a little bit flat-footed, but we were absolutely flying. But, you know, when we straightened up, I thought, oh, you know, I've got a good kick here, have I got it? And, yeah, like I say, Rick just got onto me back and just got that wee bit of a, you know, breather and just got me right on the line. But, yeah, like I say, he's gone super, this wee fella.
John, you got quite aggressive down the back.
Yeah, they were backed right up, and I don't want to be a typical walk and a sprint up the straight again, so I did the wrong thing in the end, but he went great.
Oh, I don't think you did. I reckon you made the race from a spectacle point of view. It really turned it into something super.
Yeah, well, yeah, did a wee bit, and as you know, it's not the horse's go, but two nice ones beat me in good form, so I was still wrapped.
Johnny, tactically it was always going to be a challenge, but she went a cracking race.
Yeah, she did. You know, we went back and got round probably at a good stage, but, you know, we ripped over that last 800 metres and, you know, we sort of were burning from the 6 to the 2 anyway, and probably just took its toll in the end.
Yeah, look, she never gave it up though, and yeah, ultimately she's picked up a little bit more money. She'll need some more though.
Yeah, she still needs to keep chipping away, but, you know, a run like that should, you know, blow any more cobwebs out. She'll wherever she goes next, she'll be hard again.
Dexter, it all looked hunky-dory until a couple loomed up alongside you about the 600.
Yeah, speed went on too, Greg. Yeah, he felt great and he was really bright today, but probably just lacked a little bit of race fitness and blew out in the end.
All right, so he heads to Australia now and he'll be more than competitive. We know he's got so much ability.
Yeah, well, I guess Tim will just take a blood to make sure he's A-OK, but I'm sure he will, and then he'll head over there and, yeah, get some race under his belt.
Yep, we'll see him there this week, Michael. He's drawn the second row. Tim Butts reported that everything's absolutely perfect with him, and he probably just wasn't race hardened enough to do that.
Look, he wasn't, and it's not going to get any easier. Lenny the Shark and Tiger Tara this week drawn, I think 4 and 5 in the Bulleye Cup, so he's in the deep end. I think Tim's doing the right thing. There's nowhere else for him to go in New Zealand. He's got to go over there, which is a real shame. I question where Franco Nelson goes now. The biggest question out of the race is, does Classy Brigade go to the Jewels? You're closer to Nigel McGrath than I am. What do you think?
There's plenty of rumours going around about this horse as well being sold. That's not happening either. He's definitely setting for the New Zealand Cup. I reckon he'll go to the Jewels. If you want to ask me what I think he will, because I tell you what he showed there was good gate speed. If he draws, you know, close to the markers, he could run 150 on the markers. That'll make him pretty hard to beat, I would have thought. So that's the news out of there. Just back to the Rangiora Club and the job they did on Sunday with the Anzacs. It was very, very well done, and also having Terra to Love there, a former winner of the race. And on a sad note, Janine McCann, who of course is the daughter of Terry McDonald, passed away only about 24 hours, I think it was, before that race meeting. So to Terry and Stephen, our thoughts are certainly with you and your entire family. Janine was a massive part of the Stallion's career, and she certainly will be sadly missed. Let's head across the Tasman now, and a horse that, well, he's better placed over there. Now he's with John Cremin. Huey Green, 57.3 mile rate, just a walk in the park for him.
Well, he's had two pretty soft kills, hasn't he? He won a $6,000 race 2 starts ago, and then from good barrier draw found the front here and won nicely again. He's had 5 starts in Aussie. Michael, 3 wins, last 2 at Albion Park. Just shows you getting his confidence back at the right time.
No reason to think he won't have 100 starts in Australia over the next 4 or 5 years. Why wouldn't he? And win 60 of them. You know, that's where he belongs. It's still sad he's not here, but the bottom line is I'm not sure he would have been competitive here. And some horses, if they lose a lot, he's an art major, if they lose a lot, they can get disheartened. Some of the betters' delights will keep going, and that gets back to the question of the Classy Brigade. If you don't think he's going to win a New Zealand Cup, would you sell him for 3 or 4 or 5, or would you hold on to him? And I hope we can retain more of these horses, which comes back to the other thing. We need to give them consistent racing opportunities over the winter.
I see a couple of clubs have listened to your 2-year-old this week. There's some small 2-year-old fields.
They've got to race. It's part of the industry. I mean, they don't say on the motorway you can only take big cars out there. You've got to take little cars out there too, otherwise they wouldn't sell little cars. That's how it
You've
works.
never had a little car. So
From the man that's got a Maserati or a
turbo when I was
Ferrari,
20.
the Aston Martin.
Okay, it was a bad example.
Never,
What can I say?
never seen you in a Bambina.
Little people are allowed to play rugby too, you know. I mean, we've got to
yes.
have 2-year-old racing. Well done to ATC this week. Small 2-year-old field. They're going on the Jewels. There's no point us all saying the Jewels is
Addington
awesome.
have got one as well,
If there's no lead-up races.
The Timaru Club have got a small field as well.
good.
So good luck to them.
Good.
Australian Pace and Gold, that's not small, that's a lot of money, and we had a couple of the semis which went around on Saturday. Here's the first heat winner, Lumineer.
Good horse.
52.5, very, very good run.
And he bolts in by Sports Rider, who's doing a super job as a stallion. Trained in Victoria, the Victorian 2-year-olds are good. As you said, 152.5 could clearly go quicker. Has better draw than Sicario. Now, we look at these races and we think Mark Burden, Sicario, final this week, 350, it'll just be winning. It'll need to go pretty darn good to beat this, because that may well be leading Lumineer, and it shows plenty of fight. Went to Melton two starts ago and showed plenty of dog. Got parked, changed to the inside, wants to be there. But we know the All-Stars, Sicario, went there last week, excellent again. Now, he was in the stronger heat, so the horse in front is Fly Like an Eagle's little brother. And Sicario's outside, and now Mark has to get involved here. He has to go for the whip and say to Sicario, come on, we're not mucking around. Different type of race, and he's very good winning Sicario, but would he have run past Lumineer if that was Lumineer in front? Maybe not. So it's not just a walk-up start this time. I think the gaps between our juveniles and their juveniles are closing. We used to completely dominate. I don't think we'll completely dominate this race. He may still win Sicario. Front line's 10.
Yep.
He might still win Sicario, but Lumineer has the tactical advantage over him. $350,000 Aussie. So close enough to $390 New Zealand. It's worth almost twice as much as any 2-year-old race we have.
Yeah, and should be a terrific contest if those heats are, or semi-finals are anything to go by. Internationalisation, that's what we're about here on your show today, because we head to Yonkers, where we had Kiwis in action. Of course, this time last year, a bit of a legend was winning the Levi Series, but here's Mackenzie, or My Mackenzie, when she finished second in the Breeders' Crown. Bolts in here, of course, Jean and Bill Feast selling her. Why wouldn't they? I suppose the way the rest of their team are going.
Yeah, and coming from off the speed, at Yonkers is not an easy thing to do. So, we're seeing a lot more of our horses get over there. And the American market completely dried up. And now we're seeing other horses go across here. Here's a bit of a legend who was always going to be a good horse for America because he was small and nippy. And let's not forget, he was part of the fastest ever mile in New Zealand. He pushed border control to 150 and change. So here he is winning again. Interesting question is going to be how Chris and Lee handles it over there. Not a big horse, very nippy horse. They'll put him on the Lasix, I would think. And if he's on Lasix, maybe he'll get over some of those issues.
Of course, the 3-times Jules winner had a win over the weekend as well, Sky Major.
Yeah, he won at Mohawk, didn't he, over the weekend in 151, which is not overly quick over there, but good that he's getting a little bit of confidence back. He's went through a spell that certainly went without a win for a while, so that was nice on him. On Mackenzie, of course, selling her. She was in a tough crop, wasn't she? 4-year-old mare crop. When you've got a Piccadilly Princess, Golden Goddess and Dream About Me, her future over there looks bright.
Well, often you can sell them too, and the Yanks don't want to breed from them, so you can buy them back. A lot of our good mares have gone there and we've bought them back again.
All right, some viewer feedback. Son of Tim and Andrea Butt, Riley, said to me, why don't you have some more historics on the show? Well, here you go, my friend. Let's go back to the 2016 edition of the Southland Oaks and this very good filly in front for Dexter Dunn, Neck Time. This is what she did a year ago.
Scarlet Falcon, Rocker Razor, Erin Jacker and RR Sam Dollar, but Neck Time is going to absolutely brain them. Down towards the line, easy as you like, Neck Time by 3. Scarlet Falcon is second, third over Rocker Razor.
Yeah, exciting week ahead, of course, harness racing-wise. Addington Raceway, 11-race card there. Lower key program, 452, $40,000 pick 6 there on Thursday night. Then we head to the park. We've talked about those features. 4 at Group 1 level, $25,000 pick 6, 527 for the 11 races there. Then we head to Marlborough, a couple of races there, both Friday and Sunday as part of the annual dual code meeting there. And Matt Cross will be on track for you. Good race meeting at Ashburton, 11 races, 11:35 there on Saturday, including an interesting race for 2-year-old trotters needing to get some money for the jewels. And the big day, Diamond Day it is, 11 races starting at midday, Ascot Park. So let's get straight into our preview there. There is the second day with Marlborough. And of course, we're going to have a look at the Southland Oaks. Massive day the other day for Gordon Lee, driving 3 winners. Not totally sure when that would have happened in the past, but he'll drive, of course, Cease with Joy in the Southland Oaks, but delightful Memphis, absolutely outstanding form, and her last start second to Party On had a lot of merit too.
It did. This was her win 2 starts ago, New Zealand record time, over 2400 from a stand, of course. Since then, brave run behind Party On. She takes on Bonnie Joan outside her, Cease with Joy and Delishka, $45,000. It's a cracking race, 2700 metres too, boys, so looking forward to that. Of course, the 3-year-old boys go around earlier. I'm going to have a look at Amon Maguire, of course, coming out of the race behind Vincent in the Derby, when running a very brave third, Greg. He's drawn the second row here, but gee, he was brave here, and they went outstanding time, 3:06. So that was him in the purple and white colours of Graham Anderson running on down the outside. Takes on Major Hippie, who's unbeaten to date. 2 starts for the All-Stars, who look very good, biggest test to date. And of course, Whitaker, who was placed last weekend down south. So cracking race, 2,700 metres again. Looking forward to some more records being broken in Invercargill.
Yeah, look, always a good horses race. Horses like Changeover have been down there and won the Supremacy, Heaven Rocks last year. Let's have a look at the 2-year-old, Aloka. You don't go any better than this, and often you win races like this. Aloka was outstanding, but got run down by Spankham.
Well, when you run 154 and you run home in 54.9, you'll win 99 times out of 100, but he didn't win here. Spankham got over the top of them. He gets barrier 1. He's got gate speed. He showed it in this race. He should be winning. Takes on a stablemate, Star Commander, sees Sweet Mary and Ashley Lopez, who was quite good winning last week. So bit of depth in the 2-year-olds going around there.
All right, Luciano goes round in the Country Cups final. Probably wishes the races at Addington Raceway.
Well, probably does, but his form's great this time up, Greg. I mean, this is, again, another New Zealand record run behind Franco Nelson, off a handicap, gets up the inside here, goes down a short margin. Of course, after that, he lined up behind Golden Goddess in a sprint home. I think you put the line through that form. Go on this run here, 20-metre handicap, or 10-metre handicap, he looks very well placed.
Yep, certainly does. Should be a terrific race day. Good luck to the Southerners down there on what should be a wonderful occasion. All right, we need to have a look back at the Harness Jewels Historic. We all agreed the Orange Agent, national record time, still stands, Michael, which is one of the few that do.
Yep, and beat some mares who subsequently went on to win Group 1s, Fight for Glory and the likes. Start Dreaming was a very good horse. That's her in front, and look, she's a very, very good horse, a very fast time. Orange Agent voted our best ever 3-year-old diamond winner.
Fight for Glory, the Orange Agent, she is a rippin' and a tearin', and the Orange Agent Super has beaten Fight for Glory.
And just back to last week's Ruby, we had some interesting comments come through from our viewers. Overwhelmingly, Sovereignty became the 3-year-old Ruby best of all.
Maddie Williamson contacted me, voted for Springback Richards, who, don't forget, it galloped at the start, but wonderful 3-year-old bunch of winners been, so good to see that debate.
All right, what about our best bets of the week? Last week, rare occasion, Craig, none of us got the money.
No, we're down in a big way, didn't we? But the fixer might get us back on track this week at Invercargill, resumes since November. Really good trialist the other day behind Franco Nelson.
Cash and Flow versus Maxim should be a really good race. Cash and Flow has the tactical draw advantage.
Yeah, and I think Glenferrie Classic off the front there in the Country Cups final should be very hard to beat. Looking forward to Friday night again, should be another classic.
Yeah, we'll be at Alexandra Park, speed capital at the moment, isn't it? With the records being broken there. Looking forward to joining you and Michael on Friday night.
Right, and most importantly, congratulations to our regular producer and director, Glenn Bourne. Great guy. He had twins on Monday, so his life just got an awful lot busier. Looking after us 3 babies, he has to look after 2 more. So There you go. George and Louis, welcome to the world.
Yep, nice to have them, and congratulations to you both, Emma and Glenn. All right, that's it for us. That's been your box seat. See you in 7 days.